let's say 4 years down the road, 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. Um, what does it take? If you could give us an idea based on your background training, collegiate, national, multiple world champions, what would it take for an elite athlete to get to a podium 4 years from now in
Well,
in Los
okay. For
Angeles?
one thing, it's already too late. But we'll
Josh is trying to train for it, by the way,
I'm
so
getting
he's
into
asking for himself.
breakdancing. I'm getting into breakdancing, but they canceled it on me, so I my dreams are like now crushed.
so there's no question. The two pillars to start off with are geography and genetics. Okay. Um, the greatest sprinters in the world come from a country where sprinting is the national sport. That's Jamaica. Usain Bolt, uh, if he'd have been, I always say this, if he'd have been raised in West Texas, he'd have been a underperforming wide receiver that, the coach cut off the team. But you have him in a country where sprinting is the national sport. He's also the youngest of six, I think, and we know from research that the youngest child has real advantages, by the way, because you're always chasing your brothers and
Someone
sisters.
better.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, Usain Bolt's a very good example. You have to have the genetics. He's 6'4" and built to sprint, but you also have to have the geography. So if you're a 5'10", massively explosive kid, you live in Canada, you're a hockey player, Iowa, you wrestle, Bulgaria, you Olympic lift. So
Interesting.
you got to have those two pillars talking about first. You don't see a lot of basketball players at the highest level. When I used to work for this team called Utah Jazz, they're a professional basketball team, probably knows
Ah,
that.
I've heard of them.
It always cracks me up when people thought that John Stockton was small. Well, Josh, you've seen me, right? I mean, I'm a big guy, right? I mean, John,
Yeah. You definitely shadow over people.
yeah, John towered over me, and his hands, are the frying pan sized. So even a guy who looks small in the NBA is still the biggest, best athlete you ever met in your life. So the DNA side and the geography side I put first. In fact, I say those are now. If you come from a country where you have sports, there's real advantages. North Korea, China, some other countries, there's real advantages to the way they do things. In fact, I was just reading an article years ago. I had a little newsletter called Get Up. In 2004, we had a report from the Chinese Olympic team. A guy was allowed to go in there, and he just wrote me this long letter about all the stuff he saw. And even back then, most of the Chinese Olympic lifting team at the time, I'm sure it's true, these were kids from really poor places that were giving their family and themselves opportunities to make it to the next level. In the same way that, you could say a lot of sports in America, my concern about soccer, football, American soccer, why are we bad? In America, soccer is a rich kid sport. Nowhere else in the world is it a rich kid sport. And so we really, little Cindy's on a club and the shirt says elite, and, they have $2,000, uniforms, kits. And, but what really makes a country great at something is when people will do anything to be great in the sport, to raise themselves out. I remember as a kid, of course, it was interesting. In my life, I've watched the sport of boxing. Boxing was probably, when I was young, it might have been the third most popular sport. It had gone baseball, probably college football, and then number three was boxing. Would anybody say that anymore? I mean,
No, I mean, no.
when's the last time you said, let's get together for the big fight this weekend? There was a time where I could have named you every single top 10 boxer, and it wasn't like I was a boxing fan. You just knew it. Well, of course, it was Ali, Foreman, Frazier, I mean, it was, different, Norton. But there was a time, in fact, people in my family did it to get ahead. You jumped in a ring and you beat the hell out of somebody, and you incurred concussions and even death to do it, but you did it because you need the money. And so that's the next element. Sports, state sponsorship, or as we do here in the United States, commercial sponsorships. There's no question that Biles, the gymnast, is going to make a lot more cash with her career because she's a gymnast than Val Allman did because she's a discus thrower. I mean, there's no question about it. I mean, if I said the name Mary Lou Retton, there'd be a lot of people on this thing that'd be going, who? But she was a 84 Olympian, and she won the gold medal in the 84 Olympics. She still probably, does, probably still has a commercial success because of that. Where, when you talk about the American Olympians like John Powell and Mac Wilkins, you've never heard of either of them. So how we state sponsor versus commercial sponsorship versus having rich parents, or remember the movie Foxcatcher about wrestling, Okay. So you can also do that private, the American collegiate system has boosted the Olympics forever. And, hopefully the NC2A will have some wisdom and, not just turn into a college, semi-pro college, football. That would be the next level. And then after that is you just need a host. You need enough participants so that you boom, weed out, boom, weed out, boom, weed out. And if you're missing any of that, you'll notice I didn't say much about computers and equipment, and I didn't say much about coaching either. But you need those big things first, and then you can worry about, this or that.